Good morning, everybody. This is the news that we are waking up to for Monday, May the 5th, 2025, day 1167 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. How do you do? I'm Peter Alexievich, and I'm coming to you live from this major European capital currently under siege. And when I say under siege, it's under siege, man. Last night was not a good night. I had just gone to bed when the air raid alarm sounded at 2 a.m. and I didn't get back to sleep for a while. Um, Last night we saw only a 54% interception rate on incoming drones, and 11 people here in Kyiv alone are injured, including 2 children. There were a couple of fires across the city. In addition to the drones, there were 2 KN-23 North Korean ballistic missiles that got through and hit their targets, causing damage here and in other cities across Ukraine. So it was a tough night last night, guys. The thing I really want to talk about today, and the kind of the thread that goes through everything, is the upcoming May 9th Victory Day parade in Russia and Putin's fears over it. It's a chance for him to be on the world stage, to host people like Xi Jinping, who have real power in the world, and to show off himself as a world leader. He does not want a hail of Ukrainian drones coming into Moscow. And he is nervous. There's just no two ways about it. So much so, I think, that he's doing the nuclear saber rattling again. This guy here, Zarubin, who's a Russian state TV reporter, did a 1-hour special on Putin's 25th anniversary as ruler of Russia. And as you can imagine, it was a fawning, ingratiating kind of a thing. But there were a couple of comments that Putin made that I want to highlight. So with Putin, we always expect victim blaming, just like with Trump, right? You blame the victim. They provoked us, as you said yourself. They wanted us to make mistakes. There was no need to use the weapons you spoke about, nuclear weapons, and I hope they will not be required. Now, in one breath, he's saying that the world is pushing me as far as it can push me. I am so mad. I'm going to go nuclear. But I know that would be a mistake. And in the next breath, he's saying, oh, I hope I don't have to go nuclear. This fucking guy, I swear to God. So what we see is Russia's strange mix of sadism and ego wrapped around a white-hot coal of insecurity. They're making me do it. I don't want to do it. I hope I don't have to do it. They better give me my way, or I will hold my breath until I turn blue. That is really the mentality of these people. Just like Trump. They're cut from the same cloth, these two. Now, all of that, as dysfunctional and disassociated from reality as any of it is, that is nothing compared to the next thing he said. He spoke of a moment of reconciliation with Ukraine that seems inevitable to me, despite the tragedy we are currently experiencing, despite the tragedy, the unmitigated gall of this motherfucker to call what is happening a tragedy, as if it were unavoidable, as if it were not all his doing, as if he were not the prime mover of the violence, genocide, rape, and murder of Ukrainians and the theft of their children every fucking day for 3 years. You gotta be kidding me. And the world is gonna go to Moscow to stand by him? I pray to God that America doesn't make this mistake and send somebody. Right now, it's not looking like it. And in fact, most of his best friends have dropped out. We saw, well, one second, Dmitry Medvedev picked up on this cue from the boss right away and ran to the press and said, if Kyiv fucks with our May Day parade, I'm paraphrasing, if Kyiv fucks with the May 9th parade, Kyiv will not see May 10th. A clear threat of nuclear annihilation. Now, when we think about the Russians and their nukes, I think that it is important to start the discussion with this. We know through UK intelligence, other Western intelligence agencies, Andrei Kovalenko at the Center for Countering Disinformation, at numerous sources, that the Russians are spending tens of millions of US dollars on a disinformation campaign of fear targeting Western citizens and in particular the United States. The disinformation campaign basically says we are on the verge of World War III and Russia will nuke us all if we do not give them what they want. If we do not appease the genocidal lunatic in the Kremlin, they're going to nuke us all. I got to tell you, I was devastated to hear my own son repeat this Russian talking point to me as if it were true. Devastated. Because it is nonsense of the first order. We don't even know if the Russian nukes work. The analysts are very clear. The tactical nukes, there's like 1,200 of them, of the 5,500 or so in the Russian arsenal. 1,200 of them are tactical or short range, what they call battlefield nukes, with low yields in the 400 to 700 ton range, the 4 to 7 kiloton range. So those commonly are believed not to work at all. The strategic stockpile is a little bit different, right? Those are deployed nukes. They're out at airfields ready to be put on planes. They're on submarines, ships, etc. And those, like these big, well, I think these are actually intermediate range, but it doesn't matter. Those big ones, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, likely some number of them work. So should we have legitimate concerns about those weapons of mass destruction being in the hands of a lunatic? Yeah, we should. But that lunatic, his own survival is the most important thing to him. And he knows very well whether his nukes work or not. Ours do. If just one nuclear device were to be targeted at the United States of America, what do you think Donald Trump would do? I mean, that would erase all the debts he has to Moscow if he just nukes it. And you know goddamn well Donald Trump is dying to nuke somebody. So this is all, the whole thing about Russian nukes is nonsense of the first order. And nobody should listen to a word of it, nor have any fears, any real palpable fears, that it would soon be a reality. That is highly, highly unlikely. Oh, look, they have little fire extinguishers there on the truck. Just in case the bomb goes off, they're prepared. Oh, that's funny. Now, in terms of who's coming to the parade, Xi is still on the menu. I mean, on the guest list. Ukraine. They're going to sign some deals. They've got some trade negotiations that have gone on recently, which is only going to be good for Russia. No good for the rest of us. It is interesting to me that Xi has lent Putin soldiers to march in the parade. There's a lack of military personnel to fill the streets. And so the Russians have welcomed Chinese soldiery to march in their Victory Day parade. Now, what is really particularly amusing to me about that is the Russian people cheering the Chinese soldiers on and the thought that they may very well be cheering on a future occupying force. Russia is so weak, China is so invested, that should Putin pass away and the power vacuum that opens up plunge Russia into madness and internal conflict, why on earth wouldn't China go into outer Mongolia, North Manchuria, all the way up to Siberia to Lake Baikal, where they've invested tens of billions of dollars in infrastructure? We're only going there to protect our interests and to help stabilize the region as a peacekeeping force. As soon as calm is restored, we will withdraw. And before you know it, it's 40 years later and everybody's speaking Mandarin, right? I do like this picture because Xi is not a tall guy, but look, he towers over Putin. Putin is a dwarf. I mean, he's got that. I'll tell you something. I'm a big guy, right? Like when I was a little younger, I was 6'2", go about 250 pounds, right? I'm a big guy. And the only time I've ever been punched in the face was by little guys with chips on their shoulder like this. I'd just be standing there at a party, having a good time, talking to some friends, and boom, from out of nowhere, clocked by some little guy. Ugh. Come on, grow the fuck up, guys. So Xi is still going. Now, Fusek has said he's too sick to go. He came back from the United States. He's so sick after being in the United States. The stench of all that capitalism, freedom, and success just made him so sick that he knows he's not going to be able to attend a parade 5 days from now. That's the guy on the right. The guy on the left is Robert Fico from Slovakia. And I always forget if he's president or prime minister, but he's the dude in charge. And he said right up until yesterday that he was going. Now today, his office said that there may be travel complications as the EU won't give him clearance to fly through their airspace to get to Russia. And apparently it's too much work for him to go to Turkey and catch a plane. So we'll see what happens with this guy. But the attendees are dropping like flies. People you would expect to be there, like Viktor Orban, aren't even going. Never even said they were. Now, whether it's fear of a Ukrainian drone attack, seems unlikely. I think Fico and Vucic are both more interested in their relationships, their financial relationships, their economic relationships with the EU, and the threat to their EU candidacy status and ongoing relationships with EU members than they are of Putin or the Ukrainians. I think, but I don't know. It could be that they're afraid of an attack. Now, for his part, Zelensky is over in the Czech Republic today and meeting with Peter Pavel, who is the president of the Czech Republic. I remember that. And in regard to Putin's ceasefire offer, Zelensky said there is no faith in the Russians. We understand who we are dealing with. We do not believe them. As well they shouldn't. The evidence is clear. Russia breaks every ceasefire agreement it's ever made with Ukraine. This is not the first challenge, nor are these the first promises made by Russia to cease fire, Zelensky said at a news conference with Czech President Peter Pavel. Now, for his part, President Pavel said Putin could end the war with a single decision, but he has not shown any willingness so far. Clearly, the Czechs know who they're dealing with as well. Now, the Czech Republic has been a good friend to Ukraine throughout this war, welcoming more than 500,000 war refugees since the start of the full-scale invasion, and continues to supply Ukrainian military with tanks, armored vehicles, and helicopters. But that's not all. The Czechs are the ones leading the shell initiative to get NATO standard 155mm shells to Ukraine. They are the main reason why Ukraine has been able to stay in this fight from an artillery perspective, and now has on hand a year's worth of shells at the current rate of depletion of 3,000 a day. 3,000 a day. Additionally, it was noted that under the Czech initiative, a total of 18 countries, including Canada, Germany, and Portugal, collected around 1.8 billion by June 2024 to buy 500,000 155 millimeter shells. It is worth pointing out, if I'm not mistaken, it was Slovakia under Fico where the people collected like, I want to say maybe $250,000 US. It was not an insubstantial amount of money that they then donated to the Czech initiative. Just crowdsourced, fundraising, GoFundMe for 155 millimeter shells. Amazing. Now, I believe, as a prelude to Friday's May 9th Victory Day parade celebration, Ukraine wants Russia to know that it can strike anywhere inside Russia. And so we saw some drones. We saw 5 long-range drones fly to Murmansk yesterday. As we understand it, they were all taken out. Today, Russia is claiming that its air defense units destroyed 4 Ukrainian drones flying towards Moscow. According to preliminary reports, there were no injuries or damage from the falling debris. That may change because there are some fires being reported in Moscow. Now, it's a big city. These fires may be unrelated to the drones. So we'll see. But right now I'm just quoting the Russians. No injuries, no damage. Everything shot down. This is according to Mayor Sergei Sobyanin, who's posted this on his Telegram messaging app. Now, in addition to the drones downed on their approach to Moscow, 17 drones were destroyed over the Bryansk region and 5 over the Kaluga region. The ministry said in a post on the Telegram messaging app. The governors of the Kaluga region, which borders the Moscow region to its northeast, and the Bryansk region that borders Ukraine, said on social media there were no injuries or damage reported. Again, everything shut down, everything fine. Russia's aviation watchdog, Rosaviasta, said earlier it had halted flights at airports, one of the key airports serving Moscow, for about 1.5 hours overnight. As I understand it, numerous airports in the area were shut down, but only for short times. It seems to me that Ukraine, because Zelensky has clearly rejected the 3-day ceasefire, that is not going to be a thing for Ukraine. As well they should. The other side, the enemy, the one who started it, does not get to dictate to you how things are going to go. I want to have a parade. You better stop defending yourself for those 3 days. Get the fuck out of here. So I think the Ukrainians are sending a clear message. We can reach Moscow. If we don't bomb the parade on Friday, it's only because of your company. We would hate to put President Xi at risk, for example. And in fact, the Chinese are said to have, through diplomatic channels, asked Kyiv not to do it. Publicly, the Kyiv administration has said very clearly that we cannot guarantee anybody's safety. But what was said privately is anybody's guess. Now, some good news out there. The Israelis, as you know if you follow this channel, are retiring their Patriot systems. And so the first thing they did, maybe about 2 months ago, they sent 90 PAC missiles, Patriot air defense missiles, to Ukraine. Big help, right? The Patriot missile stockpile is depleting. Trump is not coming up with anything. It's going to be a problem. And Ukraine's got 8 Patriot systems, 6 in operation, 2 in repair, that it depends on, absolutely depends on, for its aerial defense against ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles, etc. So the addition of another Patriot is a big deal. That's a 15% increase in coverage right off the bat. I don't know that the Israelis have any more missiles to send or where Ukraine is going to get the missiles. Romania has been talking about donating a system. If they did, that would bring the working number of Patriots here to 8, which is it's rapidly approaching what Zelensky has said is the minimum number the country needs, 11. It should really have at least 22 for a real defensive, multi-layered air defense. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. One is better than none, that's for sure. Thank you, Israel. Now, this is reporting by the New Voice of Ukraine, which I often validate stories in, but they're not the first ones. These guys were the first ones to say it. And then it was administration officials here in Kyiv that confirmed it. They are reporting that the Bryansk Stella electronics manufacturing plant, which is known for manufacturing electronic components, reactors, and transformers, for the military in particular, has been destroyed. Third time's the charm, Ukraine. They hit it in November 2024. No, I'm sorry, November 2023, December 2024, and again now in May of 2025, and it is said to be wrecked. These guys are not going to be producing any military hardware anytime soon. That is for sure. Final note, I took this from Juzzy over on Ukraine News TV on YouTube. He makes most of these memes. Maybe he didn't make this one, I'm not sure, but he certainly used it. And it seemed absolutely perfect to sum up the day. Dmitry, Sergey, let's make an interview where I don't explicitly threaten Ukraine with nukes, but where I do that mafia wannabe thing where I say I hope I won't need to use them. People will be scared this time. The tragic part of this is that people do get scared every time. The West falls for this ruse, which is why ruse. I wonder if that word comes from Russian. This ruse, and they do get scared. Nuclear war scares people. Yeah, it fucking does. So the sad part of this bluff is that it works. And certainly there are lots of Americans who believe it. Okay, again, if you subscribe through Apple Pay, please change that. They take a third of the money and it takes 75 days to post, making my life very difficult. Not you, right? You're great. Apple Pay. Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, Instagram. I'm on all of them as Piotr Alexievich. Please follow me there. And then, of course, TikTok and PayPal. PayPal if you want to do a live sponsorship. That's there. And I just hit on YouTube 1,000 subscribers. Woo! I started the YouTube and the TikTok channels the same day. I publish the same content on both platforms. I've got 2,000 videos on YouTube, and I just hit 1,000 subscribers. Meanwhile, we're rapidly approaching 40,000 on TikTok. So, guys, if you don't follow me on YouTube, please do. Help me build that up a little bit. Because if I get banned from TikTok or if TikTok goes away, I'll tell you right now, I'm not coming back. Like, I'm going to YouTube and not looking back. It's just that simple. All right, kids. Make it a great day. Wish me luck. I'm doing some apartment hunting today. And I will see you all in the live tonight. Take care.